Imagine this. You meet someone good, like genuinely good. They're patient, they're kind, they actually show up for you. But instead of being thrilled, something inside you just starts pulling away. Well, let's dive into this, because what happens next is truly fascinating and honestly, a little heartbreaking.
So, you meet that genuinely good person. And then, the sabotage begins, right? You start picking fights that absolutely do not need to happen. You test them in weird ways you can't even fully explain to yourself. You go completely cold exactly when things start getting warm, and eventually, they leave. Or, you push them out, and you just find yourself sitting alone again in the wreckage of a perfectly good relationship.
And somewhere in that wreckage, you end up asking yourself a really painful question: why do I always do this to people who actually deserve better? It feels like a massive character flaw, right? Like you're just fundamentally broken. But what if I told you it isn't? It's absolutely not a character flaw. It's a program. It is a piece of software running quietly in the background of your brain. And the crazy part is, it was written a very, very long time ago.
Section 1. The Relationship Sabotage Code.
Section 2. Childhood, the origin story.
So, to understand how these deep-seated relationship programs operate entirely on autopilot in our adult lives, we actually have to look backward. Back in 1969, a psychologist named John Bowlby made this massive discovery. He found that every single human being develops an attachment style in early childhood. It's essentially a template for how safe it is to get close to another person. Then, in the 1970s, Mary Ainsworth expanded on this and identified 4 distinct styles of attachment. And today? Well, today we've moved even further into the science of neuroplasticity and something incredibly hopeful called earned security, which we're going to get to in just a bit. But first, how exactly was your specific template built?
Your template was based entirely on your relationship with your earliest caregivers. If those caregivers were consistent and warm, your brain learned a very simple rule: closeness is safe. But what if they were inconsistent? Sometimes warm, sometimes completely absent. Well, your brain learned that love is unpredictable, so you always need to be on high alert. And if they were consistently unavailable or rejecting, your brain learned that vulnerability leads directly to pain, so self-protection must always come first. Remember, you don't actually consciously remember this stuff. These are foundational programs installed before you even had the vocabulary to describe them.
Section 3. The 4 attachment styles. Now that we know how this code is written, what is truly staggering is the sheer scale of the issue. Research shows that only 50% of adults have a secure attachment style. Think about that for a second. The other 50%, half the population, are running one of 3 insecure styles in every single relationship they enter. And most of them have absolutely no clue that they're doing it. Let's break these 4 styles down. First up, we have the secure attachment style. This is that 50% we just talked about. If you have a secure attachment, you're comfortable with closeness and you aren't really threatened by distance. This is basically the baseline of a healthy emotional connection. Intimacy just fundamentally feels safe to you.
Then we move into the insecure style, starting with anxious attachment. This program desperately craves connection, but it's absolutely terrified of abandonment. When someone with an anxious style feels threatened, or even just senses a little bit of distance, their automatic response is to cling harder. For them, the fear of being left is just constant and overwhelming.
Next is the avoidant attachment style, which is almost the exact opposite. This program is deeply uncomfortable with emotional closeness. So when relationships start to deepen, the avoidant person automatically pulls away. Why? Because to their brain, vulnerability literally feels dangerous. Any growing emotional exposure triggers this massive self-protective instinct to just create distance and bail.
Finally, we have the disorganized attachment style. And this one is incredibly difficult because it simultaneously desperately wants connection and is terrified of it at the same time. From the outside, the behavior appears totally chaotic and self-defeating. It's this exhausting internal conflict where you're reaching out for the person you need most while simultaneously doing everything in your power to push them away.
So, the crucial point here is how these sabotage styles actually play out in real time. The anxious style, for example, asks for reassurance over and over again until their partner is just completely exhausted. Then, the anxious brain interprets that exhaustion as abandonment, which triggers more clinging. It's a tragic self-fulfilling prophecy. On the flip side, the avoidant style feels closeness growing and immediately creates distance. And they don't do this because the relationship is bad. They do it because caring feels like exposure, and their childhood taught them that exposure always means pain. The relationship fails not because the person was wrong, but because the brain was running a program written for a completely different situation decades ago.
Section 4. Rewriting your attachment program.
Okay, so here is the incredibly good news. You can achieve what psychologists call earned security. This is the scientific reality that attachment styles are not permanent. They can absolutely be changed over time. You don't need a time machine to go back and completely undo your entire childhood to heal your relationship patterns. You just need to earn your security as an adult. So, how do we actually do that?
How does this translate into an actual workable strategy? Well, you basically need 3 things. Step 1, identify your style. Step 2, name it in the moment. Step 3, choose one different response. I know, it sounds super simple, but let's break down exactly how powerful these 3 steps are when you put them into practice.
First, you identify your style, and you do this not to blame yourself, but to finally just see the program clearly for what it is. Then, when that familiar urge to push away or cling or create chaos fires up in a good relationship, you pause. That's step 2. You name it. You literally say to yourself, okay, this is my pattern firing right now. This is not the truth about my partner. And then, step 3, you choose one different response. Look, you don't need a complete transformation overnight. You just need one single moment where you do something your old program wouldn't have done. And here's why that matters so much. Each time you make that different choice, you are literally building a brand new neural pathway right beside the old one. Over time, thanks to neuroplasticity, that new pathway gets stronger and the old one gets quieter.
I want to leave you with this really powerful quote from our source material today. You cannot delete the program your childhood wrote, but you can write a new one. Your past is written in ink. It's permanent. That template your caregivers gave you before you could even speak is in there, but your future responses, those are entirely within your control. You get to be the programmer now, one different choice at a time.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a question to carry into your next close interaction. When that old, familiar urge to pull away or cling tight inevitably bubbles up, which new neural pathway will you choose to build today? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time as we continue unpacking the ideas that shape our lives.